Boom! We're back. Squeeze the Neck podcast.
Love it.
Curveball today. We spoke about this briefly, didn't we? Sumo wrestler, my first, Sonny Bell. Thanks for doing this,
Pleasure,
mate.
man. Anytime.
Yeah, so we got put in touch by the amazing, wonderful, don't say it to him on camera, but Asbo Andrew. So, like, you had a bit of an interesting meeting randomly with him recently. You
Yeah,
said, or I don't know if it
absolutely.
was recent, but you said, like, you saw him in Thailand and then met him randomly on the
Yeah,
street.
yeah, it was so
We'll
good.
get into all that, mate, but tell me how an Englishman gets into sumo wrestling.
I mean, well, obviously it's very, very random.
Yep.
Completely like out of the blue, no idea how I even kind of became into it. But it kind of started when I was in my sort of first year of sixth form at the time, so about like 17-ish. And I was basically planning a sort of like gap year at the time to go away to Japan, like someone always wanted to go, love the country, the culture, the food, obviously.
And
all
at
that
17,
lot.
you're thinking like this?
Yeah, 100%.
You're always a grown-up kid, because
Yeah,
17 you go, I want to go to Japan.
Yeah,
Again,
absolutely.
bit of a
Yeah,
curveball,
well,
isn't
it's
it?
like it's that idea. Well, I've always been like, always loved the idea about traveling, and at the time, you know, I was thinking about going to university, which I didn't end up going because I was just like COVID hit and ended up enjoying travel too much, and I was just went straight into work instead and just loved it ever since. But I was basically planning this trip to Japan, and I thought, okay, I want to pick up a Japanese hobby as well. And my handwriting's terrible, so I'm not going to do like calligraphy or like origami or anything like that. I thought, you know what, sumo wrestling will be a great thing. My background is like rugby and rowing, so it was like my two sports was like physicality from the rugby. I got great big legs from the rowing, and I was like, I could do sumo. It's easy. I went online. There was nothing in London at the time at all. So for like, I was just kept on just scrolling. I was like, there's nothing here, nothing here. I found the British Sumo website. Just saw a phone number, and it was a dodgy looking website as well. So I was like, wow, this is like from like the 80s. Like, this is really bad. Saw a phone number, gave it a call. It was a guy based up in Doncaster. And he was just like, you know, I just explained how I want to give it a go. And he goes, oh, amazing. We've got a training camp in like 2-3 weeks with all the GB boys. Come up, see if you like it, and just go from there. So half my family's from Bradford, actually. So I went up and just spent the weekend with my grandma and then just travelled every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, training. First 2 days was just one-on-one, me with the coach. And the last day was like all the GB boys and me there, and it was just like these big old fucking Northerners, plus like a few random Scotsmen as well, and it was amazing. Really enjoyed it. They said I had a lot of potential, and then just kind of carried on from there, really, which I just really I got stuck with it. It was
Well,
really
that's
good.
funny, isn't it? Because, like you said it, and shout out to the Doncaster Massive. I've been out there,
Yeah,
I've
big
been
up
out there
Donny,
a few
big up
times
Donny.
training. I've been up there. A couple of former UFC fighters are based in there. I've been up there training with them, and they've been on the podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out Danny Mitchell. I haven't trained with you yet, mate, but I'm coming up soon. And Scott Ascombe, who I called Ascombe on the on the episode. So Ascombe is how you pronounce it. We practiced it first, but that's a story for another day. But go back a bit, mate, because you said you did rowing and rugby, right?
Yeah.
So hard sports, right? Because
Yeah.
I think people will know rugby's a hard sport, obviously, right? But I think people,
Yeah.
we're on, mate. We're on. Jump in. Come bless us with your presence. So like, but rowing's an extremely hard sport. on the body.
Yeah. So I think I started originally. I did rugby first. So I was always quite a big kid anyway.
Right.
I sort of, as my age went up, so did my stones. So
Right.
I'd go up. I was like 8 years old, 8 stone. 10 years old, 10 stone.
was you?
12 years old,
Okay.
12 stone. And I kind of capped out about 14 stone at like 14. And I was just a big kid. So rugby was great. I played up a year because basically I was just a bit too big sometimes for my age group, so they just put me up. I was good. I was like kind of county level, so I was a solid level in Kent at the time, where I'm originally from. So grew up around there, rugby boys, always through it. And then got to about 14, and then all of a sudden a couple of my friends spoke to me about rowing, and I was lived by a coastal town, so actually it was more like coastal rowing. So
Sorry to cut you, mate. Can I just look
Yeah,
this
yeah,
up,
yeah,
mate,
sorry,
in case
man.
it's covering the mic?
So
Just
yeah.
do
It was more like coastal rowing,
Yeah.
so opposed to obviously river rowing, where it's like nice, sleek, nice, like calm waters. I was down by Deal on the southeast coast, and you're just on the water, choppy, whatever it is, calm is lovely, but you got to put some power through it. But started that at 14 as well, and then that's where I kind of like had to decide on what sport to focus more on. They were both getting up to like a really good high level. I think I was doing a few like indoor championships for rowing, and at my age group, I was about like 7th in Britain at the time, and then like rugby, I was just like doing really well. But rugby came with a few injuries, and then I was like, you know what, I might have to take a back seat from rugby and just focus solely on the rowing.
I thought it was going to go the other way. I
No,
thought you were going to
no.
tell me you went rugby. Yeah,
No,
okay.
exactly, yeah. So I
Okay.
kind of completely split, and also because rowing helped me so much of my fitness. Like, it was insane, because obviously a lot more pushing yourself to limits, I'd say. Rugby is a very obviously cardiovascular and like intense sport, and where I was like, you know, running around 80 minutes on the pitch and going through it wherever I can, and obviously enjoyed it, especially like the social part of it was huge as well. But then going into rowing, like the absolute like pure just drive of yourself though, because there's no one really you're competing with apart from yourself, and like whether it's a monitor when you're on an ergo or you're just competing against another person rowing by you like on the coast, or on the river, wherever you go. And so that kind of gave me a bit more of a drive for it, and I really enjoyed the training aspect, became a lot fitter with it, dropped down weight quite a bit while like kind of still growing, and that really helped me kind of, I suppose, like kind of just gauge into more of an athlete, and then also gave me a great foundation for sumo from having these big old fucking legs.
Yeah, which is always nice. Forget sumo, it's just nice to have a big old pair of legs.
Yeah, it's good big figures. Yeah.
But go back a step, when you said like every year you was going up in weight, and age, it was the same amount in stone. Was that a conscious thing as well at a certain point? Because a lot of people get to that age and bulk.
I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about bulking at all. I've actually mainly probably been, I'd say, more in a deficit.
Right.
Especially as I got to like that 16 sort of age. 16 to like 18, I was really conscious about more of making weight for the boat. So when I moved to London when I was 16, and kind of came up here, started rowing for Twickenham on Ilpa Island. And when we were there, though, I was part of a heavyweight boat as a foreman. But because of the boat kind of weight, you actually have to make weight.
Oh,
so
you do?
There's a weight limit you're allowed to be.
Right.
So it doesn't work as if like everyone has to be a certain weight.
Between
it's
the crew,
the average has to be. So heavyweight boat, I think, is like 100 kilos. So it has to average out that it's 100 kilo average.
And what you got for in a boat, you say?
4 in a boat, yeah. It's about 400 kilos.
About 400
is the average allowed, but that's like the max.
So you could, I mean, probably, I'm sure it doesn't work this way, but you could, in theory, I could be 50 kilos, you could be 150, and that makes
you could,
right?
Absolutely. Like if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's just very unlikely, obviously.
Right.
So we had like a good little mix. We had like 2 smaller guys, probably around like the 70 kilo mark. And they were, strong, but just a bit shorter. Then we had like me and one of our other rowers, and we were kind of the bigger kids. So we had like, he was like 6'5", like built really well, like rower build. I looked like a rugby player that's just been put in a boat because I'm just like, so I'm not too. I'm like 6'2", but I was a lot heavier than him, but obviously height difference as well. So
what was you weighing at 6'2"? At the time?
At the time, I was lighter than I was now, obviously, but I was about, I think, 98 kilos, something like that, which wasn't like even too heavy.
But that's an athletic build, isn't it? Like 6'2", 98, that's not a small
It wasn't too bad, but when I was actually then we got into the rowing part, because I was the same weight as him, and he was obviously 6'5", my coach at the time, who was very kind of, I suppose, quite like, what's it called, size conscious. Like she was like really clicked on about weight and weight and weight, and it was quite negative for some people in the club, but like obviously the guys were like, I don't care.
You're right.
But she said before we had this competition, this big like time regatta coming up, and she goes, you have to cut weight for the boat. I said, oh right, like what weight do you want me at? And she was like 88 kilos. I was like, I'm going to lose like 10 kilos. And I was like, at when? She goes, in like 3 weeks. I was like, you're joking? She goes, no, you have to if you want to make the weight for the boat. I was like, all right, fine. So I put myself on a massive deficit and ended up like smashing it. I lost like 8-10 kilos in like 3 weeks, and it was ridiculous. I was on like 1.8k calories, training twice a day, like 1 cardio session, 1 weight session, plus going to school at like sixth form. So it was just like, I'd go home for lunch because it's the only way I could actually eat like proper food.
Right.
And it's quite funny, I'd kind of replaced a lot of my carbs, almost not, I wasn't full keto, but like for lunch I would have like 70 grams of rice and then like 200 grams of like salmon fillet and then spinach. It was like my go-to like lunch every time, because I think the fats really helped me kind of just power through all the sessions. Breakfast was like a banana and oat smoothie and like 4 fucking scoops of like protein powder.
Oh right,
and, like,
maxi muscle days.
I have to get like, because the biggest worry was when you're losing that much weight in such a quick time is the loss of muscle, not just the fat. And so it was one of those things where even though I was losing the weight, it was about trying to maintain my strength as much as I could.
Because you can do that for a little while, right? Living like that.
Yeah.
After a while, you just
it
fall.
It goes crazy, yeah. Like it's obviously way healthier and better for you to do it slowly.
Yeah.
But because of they're like, 3 weeks, do it. I'm like, okay, fine. And then, so I ended up making the weight, which is great. I kind of noticed my sort of gym scores. You can see my squat went down a little bit, but not like a lot, but just a little bit. My erg scores went down, but obviously because I was lighter, it was a lot easier for me to kind of recover. So I was like fitter on the ergs.
What's
obviously.
An erg squat? Is that the row machine?
Row machine, yeah. So we call it's an erg rower, but row machine. So at the time, I was trying to aim for like a sub-6, like 2K score, which is like just under 6 minutes, 2,000 meters.
Speaking Japanese to me now.
Yeah.
Come on, please carry on.
Sorry, yeah. So it's so yeah, like sub minute, whatever, sub something distance. So it's sub 6 minutes, which is pretty good at the time, like for your level. So my time at the moment was like 6:18. So it was just like cutting 18 seconds off. And so we're really in the midst of like a camp for this part, which was really great though. I really liked it, and I loved rowing for that. It really allowed me to like push past limits, because every session, if I wasn't throwing up, I was like, this isn't a good session.
Waste of time. Yeah.
Absolute waste of
What
time.
do you turn
like,
up for?
Even like the light sessions, they say, and we call them like UT2s. So it's like a light session, nothing too crazy. You probably do like half an hour to 45 minutes on the erg. You just kind of coast it along, like keep what we call like engine building. So it's like just about keeping constant. Every time if I'm next to anyone who's next to me and I'm just like, all right, we're in competition now, I have to beat you.
Yeah,
it doesn't even matter, I'm beating you. And like then it gets to like the last bit of the thing is like, why are you guys sprinting? It's meant to be light. It goes, shut up, it doesn't matter. Like
yeah, I gotta win.
Yeah, it's really fun, but it's one of those things that like it gives you that sort of drive as well, because it's such a sort of solo one-on-one sort of sport, which kind of like, you know, helps you lead into other things like that. But then at that point, then eventually COVID hit, which was a killer. Mm-hmm. And that's when at the time I was still doing sumo, but obviously it was in Doncaster. So I used to go up and train like once a month, once every 2 months in Donny.
Which for context, for anyone listening who doesn't know, is what, 4 hours? 4 hours away?
Easily door to door, like 4 hours, yeah, I'd say so. What do you want?
Sorry, jumping in here, I pushed in.
Sorry.
I pushed in today. But so like Doncaster to London, where we are, Londonish anyway.
Yeah,
like it's
solid
dedication.
3 to 4 hours.
Like, it's a
yeah.
dedication
Oh,
thing. Anyway,
yeah,
like
yeah,
full
yeah.
commitment. Like there, I'm assuming you weren't going there and back in the day, was you?
No.
That's what I'm saying. You were going to Bradford, you said?
I only done it a couple of times in a day one,
Right.
and I realised I'm not doing that again.
Got to defeat the objects of training, right? Because
You get
just
so
like,
tired.
what am I doing? Yeah, right.
It's like that's the killer. So usually I would obviously I'd go up the day before is usually what I do. So I'd go up the day before, and then I'd travel from my nan's over to Donny.
Right.
Then Donny I'd just come home from, back home to London. I mean, I loved it. Obviously the training was great. The guys were great. But it's one of those things again, where it's like you're training only like once a month, once every 2 months. So it's kind of hard as well to get consistently up in the levels when you only have such limited time there.
Right.
So luckily with the rowing and just general like in the gym, weightlifting, stuff like that, kept up my strength and all that lot, which was good. And then, but then COVID hit, which was like killer.
No
like,
more trips to Doncaster.
No more Donny trips. Oh no. No more Donny trips, and like no more rowing in general. So it was all obviously at home.
Right.
Then my weight went down. Kind of snatched. I lied. It kind of stayed the same, like, because it was obviously very low after that sort of pit of like massive weight cut. Then it went back up a bit, but then my brother at the time, he was like, I don't know, like 11, 12, like year 5, year 6. I'm not sure the exact age, but at that time he was like very good footballer, but also quite a fat kid. Right. So same sort of genetics, like a big kid.
Right.
And he really wanted to get fit, and so during COVID, the only thing he really allowed to do was basically exercise at the time. So I just ended up becoming like his PT while also like training myself obviously as well.
Right.
And I was probably one of the fittest I've ever been. Like I was running, and I hate running, for example. Like I'm anti-running. As an exercise.
We're going to sign a petition to stop people running. You're not allowed to run.
Can't be asked. I would choose like a rowing machine or a bike any day of the week, or swimming over any form of running cardio.
Cool. Well, that's our next clip. We're going to go for a run.
Yeah, great. But yeah, so I ended up like I'd start helping him while helping myself, sort of like training. So I was running like almost 10Ks every other day, which I would never done.
Okay, so serious running.
Mate,
You're a bit of an extremist, you, aren't you? When you get into something.
I mean, at the time, yeah, I was just like I was all over it. I used to go, so I lived quite fairly close to like Richmond Park as well. So I'd kind of nice jog up to Richmond Park. Then when I get to Richmond Park, I'd find like a massive log. Right. And I'd load it on, like, in the olden days, they'd like, when they didn't have squat racks, you'd put it on the side, then they'd put it over and squat onto you. So I'd squat it back onto my back, and I'd do these massive log squats to keep up muscular, like, strength, because I was losing so much with no gym or anything like that, but I needed to keep, it there, basically. So I just ended up doing these massive log squats while doing, kind of, almost supersetting it with, like, hill sprints, because there was a nice, like, hill you did, so I'd go down the hill, walk, sprint up the hill, do some squats, walk down the hill, sprint up, do some squats, like, and just do that like over and over again. And then I obviously helped my brother do the same thing, doing loads of circuit training with him, just getting him really fit. And he absolutely lost so much weight through COVID. He went back to school, he was like, who's this guy?
Oh,
like,
right, was he?
Like, who is he? It's crazy.
All the girls are looking at him
absolutely,
now. Like, it's all your fault.
It's all mine. I say to him, I go, you're so lucky you had me, because otherwise you'd be still a fat kid.
And you said he's a good footballer, is he?
Is he
class, he's going to make it sort of...
Oh, maybe. I mean, listen, you can't guarantee anything.
No, right.
And obviously in a sport like football, it's like insane.
Ridiculous
He's
level.
currently 17, and he's playing for Uxbridge for their first team, which is really good.
Yep.
It's good level football. It's really nice for him. And just hopefully he carries on really. Injuries safe. It should be fine.
Like you touched on it then, like football's is a mad one, isn't it? Like, the
It's
level of
crazy.
people and stuff. I was in the Wando actually. We did a podcast with Jamie Lawrence. I don't know if you know Jamie Lawrence. Was obviously a former professional footballer. Blah blah blah. We shout out Jamie. We'll get you back on at some point, mate. But he was like we was talking like just obviously like telling old war stories of when he went through this and went through that.
Yeah.
But like the level of you have to be at to be a footballer. I'm sure we've all experienced it in England. Everyone plays football, right? We've all known footballers that were like you look at them and you go, wow, he's really good. Never make it anyway.
Yeah, never. Yeah.
Never get even close.
It can be the thing of like just sadly it was the wrong time because maybe he got injured or something like that. Like even my little brother, he went through a bad knee injury when he was like 14, 15. Just killer.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, this kid's fucked. Like we were just like, oh, that's all right. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
But he came back from rehab, did really well, and obviously he was fine. So he's back up to a good level. But it's a huge part of it, like those injuries. Even the professionals, you see like guys like R9, like he could have been even better if he wasn't, an injury man. And that's like insane just to think about in itself.
Could be in the conversation as the number one of all time, couldn't he, if he didn't have them injuries.
100%. I mean, some people still consider him the number one of all time when it comes to like as a striker. But again, he only had like half a career because of injuries. It's insane.
He was the guy when I was a kid. That was the I had the shoot. I had the boots. The R9 boots.
No, exactly.
You're a bit younger than me, unfortunately.
No,
even you remember him, which is nice. But like when you come onto sumo, we jump around a bit and stuff, mate. But like you get into sumo in the UK, you're going to Doncaster, all that kind of stuff. But like training's limited, right? Because I'm assuming in Japan, I don't know if you've been to Japan, training and stuff like that. We'll get into that for sure. But like from what I understand, like it's more of a you go to a stable type thing, like you would as like a boxing a fighter, right?
Basically,
a proper fighter.
It's almost like if you're talking about like Japanese training. I mean, so it's almost like you're living in a training camp.
Right. Okay.
So it's like boxers stay in camp. They might not see their families for a little bit. They might just focus on only training with like close your guys you train with basically, and like all this lot. In sumo, that's your life basically. So
that's it. Pack your stuff, go.
So some people might stay there forever until they go pro. Some people retire. Some people might just stay there, then retire early without going any further in their career. It's a real like commitment to be like a professional sumo wrestler. So there's only there are a few like sumo bayers, sumo heias, like what they're called, these stables. Basically, they're all in Tokyo, for example, as well. They're all basically in Tokyo. And then you basically will go there amongst other athletes who are there. You will train, like traditionally you train once a day, early in the morning, but it's like 6 hours training, 5 hours training, something like that. It's insane. So you wake up at like 5, 6 a.m., you get ready, and it usually goes in order of like kind of ranking as well. So if you're like a newbie, like younger guy with no level, no accolades to him, you'll be the first up. You'll be in the ring getting stuff ready. You'll be sweeping. You'll be like watering it to make sure the sand's all ready for the next people coming in, and then it slowly just comes in where it comes in with levels. So then you get like your next ranking, your ranking. Then guys start warming up, starts getting ready, and then by that point, like you have like the final, who's kind of like the best in the stable will come in, the highest ranking wrestler. Then after that, you'll have the head kind of coach, the stable master, will come in and just get everyone ready for sessions. And then training also goes in order of ranking again. So you'll start with like the young guys who have just like not really done much, and they will start like brutally training with each other. Then they'll finish their session, then it'll go to the medium rankings, then finish finally on the high ranking guys as well. But it's a solid, like on it, like easily like 5 hour, 6 hour session straight away in the morning. And then they have obviously their huge meal, their chanko nabe, which is this massive, nutritious, basically like a soup/stew thing.
Okay.
In a funny context as well, you can actually technically classify anything as chanko. Okay. So, for example, chanko nabe is the traditional like sumo stew, which is usually like loads of veg, like cabbage, carrots, daikon, radish, some other random bits around, and then they have like 4 different types of protein usually. So chicken, pork, usually always in there. Then they usually add in something else as well. So it could be like beef, could be another form of fish, it could be anything. So it all just goes in there. And
very calorie dense.
Huge. Yeah. And then they accompany that with just like, kilos of rice.
Rice.
As much rice as you can eat is what they're eating. Like it's like really like obviously nutritious, very healthy food. It's just the quantity. It's just like they have to eat it. And also they burn like easily 10,000 calories a day.
Right.
Like, easily.
And how many times a day are they eating?
Usually only once.
Oh, it is just one again?
Usually, yeah. Wow. They just it's very, traditionally, that's what they do. So it's usually the one big meal a day. Then after that, they nap.
Right.
And then after that, they might wake up. They can snack throughout the day. You can have drinks. Like they might have stuff like that. But I think when it comes to their main meal, it's that kind of stemming point from there.
And it's a very sort of prestigious thing, right, being a sumo wrestler in Japan,
Yeah,
from what I understand.
They're like royalty, yeah.
That's what I mean, because I touching on football, I remember once at a World Cup, Japan was at a World Cup, it might have been the one that was in Japan, makes sense. But they was interviewing, like, footballers, and they was asked, like, the Japanese team, and they was asking them, if you had the choice, would you prefer to be a footballer or a sumo? And they was all going sumo. Stupid question, sumo. And it was, like, odd, right?
They are honestly, like, royalty, though. And, like, there's some, like, interesting, like, kind of, what's it called? I don't know if they're laws, kind of, like, almost things they're not allowed to do. Like within the stable. So, for example, sumo wrestlers, professionals, aren't allowed to drive like themselves.
Okay.
They have to be driven like with a chauffeur and have someone like with them and like show them around. Honestly, it's like insane. Like you're not really allowed to, I suppose, like really have like a family unless like you're kind of a much higher ranking.
Really?
So like if you want to have like wife and kids and that, you have to like kind of prove yourself to then do it. Because you're in a stable as well. It's like you don't have time for it. Like you live at the stable.
You actually live, yeah. You can't
so you live at the stable, you train at the stable, you eat at the stable.
Even the top ones, they stay there.
Top ones stay there, but the top ones are allowed to then go and do their own thing. When they reach a certain accolade, they're allowed to just, you've done your graft now, you can go and you can do your own thing, which is obviously good. That's kind of what a lot of guys aim for. But then some people might, train in these stables, hoping to go up the rankings in the divisions, and then if they can't make it, they either might retire and just then start something else. So a lot of sumo wrestlers sometimes start restaurants because they're actually all very good cooks because they cook every day. They cook really good meals every day for these big boys. Yeah. So like, there's some famous restaurants in Japan now where they serve these great big like katsudon things, which is like rice, like a deep fried like pork kind of steak with like this like egg and like a nice sauce, and they do these like sumo sized portions. So it's like massive portions. Yeah. Some wrestlers open up chanko nabe restaurants. Okay. And they do that, which is really fun. So yeah, some of them like will retire and do that, but so they can still, they might realise that they can't go any further, or they don't want to, or something like that happens, or they even just injury, then they'll retire and then they'll do something else like that.
Do they earn good money, these top sumo wrestlers?
Top ones, mate.
I was going to say, right, they're superstars. They must do. So
because they get paid from their stable basically, like a wage. Basically, like a salary. But then you get obviously money from winning like winning competitions as well.
And that's theirs.
And that can be loads. Yeah, that can be loads. Yeah, it's always there. So
there's no sort of skullduggery going on. Like you get 10% and the stable.
Yeah, I think there could maybe the stable takes a bit. But it wouldn't be like an agent taking it.
They're not like killing you, yeah.
No. I think they do get a good chunk of it, or at least the stable will then distribute it nicely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a proper it's a really big event, especially the top division. That's where you get like the best money, obviously. And if you're a higher ranking wrestler as well, that's when your wage goes up as well. So.
And when you're saying these systems, is this like a league system?
Kind of, yeah. So if you imagine there is there's quite a few leagues that goes from all the way down from like the amateur like bottom level of like the pro sumo leagues, sort of like I guess in the football terms like League 2 or even like a bit below that maybe, and then it goes all the way to the top, the creme de la creme, which has only got like 14 athletes in it. Okay. And then these guys are like competing for usually the biggest kind of cups, the biggest awards. Right. And then you go from sort of that sort of section. So as you get promotions, you go through it and you go from there, and it goes from there and there and there. And then when you're in the top division, that's when you can actually get rankings yourself. So I mean, you might have heard the term like yokozuna. So
Absolutely
yokozuna is basically like the god, like it's god of sumo. Like he is like
this is a person.
Pin. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So right.
It's a ranking.
I thought this was like a rank level.
Oh
okay.
No, so it's a ranking of a person.
Right.
So, for example, there are some times like just in time where there isn't a yokozuna present. Okay. Sort of like a Messi Ronaldo sort of situation. Like these guys are just wow.
But is there one yokozuna?
There can be more than one.
Oh, there can be more than one. Okay, that's what I was getting at.
But but sometimes there's just none for years.
Oh, I see.
Because it's not like there has to be one.
They don't give them out. Yeah.
No, it's not like there has to be a yokozuna. It's just if you get to yokozuna, it's like wow, that's insane.
And how's that happen? How'd you get there?
You just got to win. Just basically you become like almost immortalized in sumo because you're so good at it.
Right.
Like winning competitions, winning back-to-back competitions, getting recognition. Just a lot of things come into it, but eventually you just become a yokozuna.
Has anyone that's not Japanese become yokozuna?
Yeah.
Oh, they have? Okay, cool. I was about to go, we could get you the first
no,
one.
No. There's been. There was a Hawaiian guy. Okay. There's a few Mongolians that have taken the yokozuna standpoint. Wow. So there's a good like mix, but obviously Japanese dominated heavy. But at the moment now, there's actually 2 yokozunas currently, which is quite rare anyway, but which is really cool to have as well.
And how's it work in times? You said there's about 14 athletes? Like, is it like tournament style? Do they just meet up and
Yeah,
have a fight every now and then? Or what?
Basically, the way it happens in like the proper division would be, it's like basically a 2-week competition, and then every fighter fights once a day for 2 weeks until they fight everyone.
Oh, okay.
And then it goes to, so say you go 14-0 basically, then that means like you've won the competition.
Yokozuna.
Right. Well, yeah, but you've won the competition, so that's because you have the best record more or less. So some wrestlers might compete and they might get like 13-1 or like 12-2 or like it basically goes between there. So it's kind of like you want to end on a positive record, and that's where you can kind of progress your rankings.
Right.
As well as that, the person who has the best record will then obviously win the competition.
Right. Okay.
So if you won the competition, 14-1 or like 12-1, whatever it is, whatever you win it in that's be the winning amount, obviously.
And how often does this happen?
They have 6 competitions a year.
A year. Okay, so it's fairly like spread out. It's not like every weekend.
So they have like they're called bashos.
Okay.
And so you have like there's monthly bashos. There's like the November basho. There's like kind of April time, springtime basho. Then they've got like another basho. So it's a spread across like months.
Right.
But that's why they're basically always training, because it's kind of always a build up for a basho.
I got you.
Which is quite good for them, especially in like the pro leagues, obviously, which is really good.
Because I had a friend who lived in Japan, actually, Tokyo, for 2 years, and he went to sumo and stuff, and he said it was very sort of, if I'm putting words in his mouth, it was like theatrical, right? It's like an event. It's like I can't remember the words he used, I'm butchering it, but it was like
it's
a
super
spectacle
spiritual
to watch, right?
Yeah, it's super spiritual. It's super like everything is about like, everything has a meaning behind it as well, which is like so interesting when you really kind of want to learn more about it. It's such a good sport in that sense that you can watch a competition for the first time and be like, wow, that's sick. But then you could even just read about what it actually means or stuff like that. Like,
right.
And there's so many little movements, little things they do. Even like throwing the salt, you might see like before they go to competition, they chuck salt out. And some people might just look at it normally and go, oh, like a bit of like showmanship, basically. Like same thing. Like just anyone going around a ring, just like cheering. But throwing that salt is like kind of symbolic of like kind of like purifying the ring, like, like cleansing it from like any like evil spirits, stuff like that. Because it's actually quite steeped in religion, sumo. So their religion is like the Shintoism, so like Japanese Shintoism, and basically it was built around that sort of ideology of it. And even now, like when you watch competitions, above the dohyo, the ring, is actually like the top of a Shinto shrine. It's always like kind of almost like just hovering above, because originally, like way back in the day, they were done like in shrines, more or less, like in these spiritual areas, like kind of looks like almost like a spectacle as a show, but almost for the gods. It's for the gods. It's gods like kind of sport.
And is it a very ancient sport, sumo?
Oh
wrestling?
yeah,
It goes back.
it's probably. I would honestly say it's probably like the oldest martial art like ever.
Oh, easy. It goes way
probably,
back.
Yeah, I mean easily like 3,000 years, 2,000 years.
Yeah,
it's so old. Like it stems from like so many different ways. I mean, some people say like judo comes from sumo, for example, because like it's just quite similar. Like a lot of the techniques in sumo can correlate quite well to judo as well, with all the throws and stuff like that, and the names are even similar.
Right. Well, how does what's the competition format? Like, how does the fight go? Is it rounds or what? How does it work?
One round.
One round, and is it a throw out or throw down or whatever?
So the basic rules are, which is always quite fun because it's quite easy to learn, is basically to win a match of sumo, you have to either make your opponent touch the floor with any part of their body apart from the soles of their feet, or push them out of the ring.
Right. Oh, okay. So even if I put my hands down, I'm done.
Yeah, immediately. Yeah.
Mate, I reckon I could do all right. It's like a trick someone
honestly,
or something.
You could though. Like you'd be surprised. So take a knee, you're out. Drop a hand, you're out.
And that's it. So it could be over in a second. That's your match. See you later.
Usually the average is about 10 seconds.
Oh right, okay.
That's about.
So they do like 5-6 hours of training a day for 10 seconds of fury.
I mean, listen, some are longer, but I'd say on average it's about 10 seconds.
How long does some go? Do some go like crazy lengths?
2. What the match? The match?
Yeah.
Oh no,
there's no sort of 4-hour historic match.
No, or they don't. It can't happen.
Right,
they'll restart it. So I think it might be like 3 minutes.
Right.
I think if a bout goes longer than 3 minutes, they actually they say stop and then they restart.
Oh really?
So you just go again.
Go away.
They just go again.
Oh, you go again.
They just say go on away and then you fight again.
Oh right, okay. We're bored. Stop. Go again.
Because I don't know. I think for them it's just like there's no point.
Right. Okay.
I like that. Okay. It's really. I mean, like. It is crazy though that how quick it can go.
Right.
Like sometimes you get in a good tussle, you might go a bit back and forth, but then sometimes just a steam train just comes through you and you're out of the ring like in 2 seconds.
Right.
Like it's that, and because I don't really see any other martial art have the same start that sumo does. Mm-hmm. 2 guys like ready on basically just lined up, about to charge into each other, like head-on collision, like bulls.
Yeah.
Not really another martial art that I don't know of that has that same intensity when you start. And even when I've been coaching now, when I teach guys the thing, I'm like, the most important thing that you're gonna like not understand is the tachi, which is what it's called. That start. I'm like, you guys aren't going to understand it because it's like in boxing where you go, I've got a game plan until you get hit in the face.
Right.
Everyone's got a game plan until they get punched. Same thing. Everyone's got a game plan until you get smashed with someone in front of you. Like someone charges at you full throttle. It's very different compared to say like judo, where you start like kind of holding someone and you kind of get to kind of coast it and then start doing throws. And even in stuff like freestyle wrestling or Greco wrestling, you're kind of feeling each other out and you start going from there. It's like sumo's so different because it's from the start you have to like make a connection.
Attack. Right? So I tell you, like weight. This is going to be a silly question, right? But I'm assuming weight has got to play a huge part. If you've got a running start, like the bigger guy's got advantage, right? Straight off.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, in like professional sumo, obviously the guys are bigger. Like they are bigger.
And how big are these people? What's the sort
average weight's 140 kilos?
Big
that's
boys.
Very much the.
And that's all these. What's the sort of average height?
Again, varies. I think the shortest at the moment's like 5'9", 5'8".
Oh right, proper, like not tall at all.
No, he'd be very small, but like he's also not 140 kilos. He's more like 110. Still a lot
big
weight,
man for that height. Yeah.
I'd say the average is like I say between like 5'10" and like 6'4".
Oh right, not overly tall then.
Not always, but then you get some guys who are like 6'8" and just like huge. Like there is a very much like it can be very different in sizes, and some people like. One question I get quite a lot is like, what do you think is the perfect size for sumo? I'm like, really, it's hard to say.
Right.
Because there's some, like, if you look at, say, Yokozunas, for example, who are these amazing, great, the best of the best. Even now, the size of the two Yokozunas are very different. So you've got Hoshoryu, who is like, probably like 6 foot-ish. And then he's about 140 kilos. He looks quite muscular almost.
140, did you say?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's quite muscular though. So he's very much almost toned. Right. He's got a bit of like a belly on him, but like even that, like his chest is toned, arms are toned, legs are like pretty.
Is it more? Well, it sounds like more like a strongman build, like a
very much a strongman build. Yeah, if you're going to compare physiques, for sure, like
that's
that.
sort of right.
Or like just in general, like power lifters who are in the heavyweight division.
Yeah,
but then you look at the other Yokozuna, Onosato. He's like 6'6", 6'7", 185, 190 kilos. This guy's huge, right?
Yeah.
But they're both at the same high pinnacle level of sumo.
Right.
So it's hard to say like what's best. Obviously, bigger, mass moves mass. Right. Is what they say at the end of the day. So chances are, if you're bigger than your opponent and it's just a pushing match, you're probably going to win. Obviously,
right.
Like even if me and you are pushing against each other, just because of weight, I'm more likely to win. However, technique is everything.
Yeah.
I've had guys who are smaller and just absolute weapons. You can't move them, you can't touch them, you can't do anything to them because they're just so technically advanced and better than you. But then you have guys who are big with technique and they're terrifying because they're just like massive guys.
Right.
Like if you look at like Teddy Rayner, the judo champion, French guy, he's like 130 kilos.
Yeah. He's 6'8" as well.
Yeah, he's a monster. But like this guy has impeccable technique plus he's huge.
Right.
So these guys are like the ones where you're like, well, that's terrifying. But then even before we started filming, when we spoke about the guy from Czech Republic.
Yes, who I called Dutch.
Yeah, that's all right. So that guy came into the league and he got into the top division league and he was only 96, 98 kilos. Right. But he is like a judo master. Yeah. Like he loved doing these like arm throws where you get the lock, switch them over and out they go. And he still hit them, like hit them head on like collision charge and then using his, insane IQ basically, would just maneuver them out the way and then, let them basically walk themselves out of the ring. Right. Which again is just genius.
And grappling strength's different as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? When you put yourself in a position, you can sometimes. I'm sure you've experienced it too, like, and you would have obviously in sumo. But like, certain people don't look that strong, do they? And you grab a certain bit and you go, "Whoa, what's happening here?"
And we've got some guys like I've got one guy especially at my club, and he's like minus. He competes at like minus 77 kilos, but he's probably more like towards like 75. Like could go into minus 70 if you wanted to cut weight, basically. And he's like. He's built like a bull. Like he's just pure muscle, 70 kilos. He's just so hard to move, and he's just there. He's like, what is going on? Like, and it's really good though because you kind of get that level of just like such a different training style. And he's like full like BJJ and like stuff like that, Sambo. Like
what's his name?
Alex.
Alex, do you know his surname?
Like Zed Kang.
Okay, no, I don't know. Okay, never mind. Side note, I was going to try and be clever and go, oh no,
you might know. Yeah, Alex Kang, and he's like. and he's class. He's class, like sort of wrestler build, like very muscular, very strong, but for a smaller guy.
Yeah.
And I have a much harder time against him than say just some big lump.
Yeah.
Because this guy knows exactly what he's doing, where he's putting his hands, where he's holding you. It's really, really impressive.
And also shortness can be a problem sometimes, can't it?
Yeah, well, you want to get kind of under your opponent.
You're right. Yeah,
in sumo for sure.
Yeah, and it's like when I've because I'm typically like if I grapple a lot for my weight, I typically not massively, but I'm normally a little bit shorter than people, right? So like when you do come up against someone short, it's a different problem, isn't it?
Definitely,
You know what I mean? It's like a new part of the Rubik's cube. You got to go, hang on, I got to adjust and whatever. But like with sumo, like you said, the running start, that's the bit where I go. I mean, technique's great, right? But if you've got someone, was he 6'6", 185, 90 kilos, you got a huge problem here.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
He's running at me and I've got to run back at him.
Yeah, I mean, they say it's like the same sort of like, you know, power of like two cars hitting each other. Like when it comes to their like in like actual contact. And one thing we do say as well, like we say about like, I say 80% of like bouts are decided from the tachi. So, like fighting for a better positional grip, if you're doing like BJJ or MMA, where it is, whether on the ground or on the floor, anything like that. Same thing in sumo. So whoever wins the tachi, whoever gets like either a lower position or their preferred belt grip or something like that off the start, will more likely win the bout.
Right.
So a lot is actually decided in those 2 seconds of contact.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
And it's really, really strange because it does just change about. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but especially if it's someone like someone on top level, if they hit you and they hit you right with what they want, there's no way you.
Are there knockouts in sumo? When the two hit each other, does one go like, "What? That's enough"?
No, sometimes they get knocked out. I mean, it's actually quite rare, I'd say. Like
I've never seen it. That's why I asked.
I've only seen it like actually in person, never. But I've seen it like obviously like on like video, only like 4 times.
Right. So it's rare.
Yeah, very rare. I mean, because the head-on collision doesn't really get knocked out from it much.
And they're smart to it, right?
Like, I don't really think you get much of a knockout from that. There's quite a famous video of one of the old Yokozunas where he did because you're allowed to like lead in with like a forearm charge.
Right.
Sort of thing from the start, so you can go like this, like kind of knocking your opponent up, and he did that and just clocked him on the chin, and he was out. Like the opponent was just sparker.
Mate, that might be the technique to work on.
Mate,
like,
I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong.
Bong,
it's good, but it's one of those ones where it's just like, you know, it depends on your style.
Is that frowned upon? Is that no? That's okay.
That's
all
totally
part
allowed,
of it. Yeah.
Like the forearm kind of leading charge is quite popular, but it kind of usually comes into it because it's hard to. Actually clocking someone on the chin is actually quite impressive because usually it's so quick. You could barely even like get enough force from like here to here to like knock someone out almost. You know, like if you're leading with a nice like long like kind of hook, you build up that momentum, that force, then the contact is loads more. If you're only hitting it from here, it's like you can't just like 1-inch punch. You can't generate that much force.
Mate,
from
you've
it.
just lost half the audience. Like all the Bruce Lee lovers have gone.
Sorry,
this guy don't know what he's talking about.
You definitely can. No, I mean you so can. But you know, really,
but also you can't. So
realistically, you can't draw. More force is if you wind it up.
And what's the rules on sumo in terms of touching the face and things like
that? So in professional sumo, you are allowed to do this thing called sapari, which is basically, you might have seen it, the open hand strikes.
Right. Okay.
So it's more like a flutter sort of thing. So no one's really trying to like, you know, hook or like uppercut someone with it. It has to be almost like jabs.
Right.
It's only allowed to jab with it. You can't go all the way around here. You have to kind of it's all here. And they do clock it. You might sometimes see at the beginning, you might see someone just like slap someone around the face. Just a little bit. It's usually like, not for an attack. It's more like to like make them discombobulated, like confuse them. Yeah, so they just get a little like bang, and then they like kind of move something, do something else. Yeah. But yeah, that sapari is totally allowed to like phase contact. Right. Okay. Most people usually what they do though is they'll aim for like the chest, and it will sometimes slip up because the actual motion of sapari is like you hit and then up and then back. You hit. And then
do they practice this on bags and stuff? Is this like
usually wooden poles?
Right. Okay.
So they'll just like kind of be hitting a pole over and over again with their hands, like making it stronger. But yeah, so it's like that, just that motion, because the idea of it is to technically knock your opponent off balance.
Right.
So if someone's like built and they're like this, that's a very strong force. Whereas if they're back here, it's a lot easier to push back. Right. So that's the idea. So you want to break their posterior chain, get them upright, and then you can charge them out again.
That's cool.
You know, that's the idea of the sapari. It's quite a quick flutter of stuff. Yeah. And sometimes people use it for pushing, but it's quite popular, I'd say, more so to do this to get them out and quite close to the edge. Then to finish them off, you just drive again and just push them off to the very
Well, I'll
edge.
tell you what's like when I've seen like sumo, like you can imagine. Like everyone's seen sumo highlights, right?
Yeah,
But you don't necessarily sit down to watch a match, but it seems like from what you're saying, the highlights are the match anyway. So you kind of get the gist.
It is so short. I mean, I think it's one of those things where you have quite, especially like a short attention span. We were talking about it the other day actually about how I actually don't see an event arguably have that much like you never go to an event and see that many fights in one like hour.
Right.
Like you
right.
go,
right.
like seriously, like you go to one of these events, you will watch 14, 15 fights, all like top level guys. You'll have a lot of fun, and it's done in an hour and a half.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, for value for money, it's outrageous. So
but that's better. You don't want to sit there. It's like I don't know if you're a boxing fan or anything like that, but the amount of times I've been at pro boxing events where my mates are fighting or whatever, and like it's like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Like one fight goes, and then we got to wait till like God knows when.
And you've got to go through all of those till then you get to the main event. And the main event's what you really paid the money for anyway.
Right.
And then it's like okay, great. And then granted, you're there for the main event. It's going to be a good a good match, hopefully. But it's always the chance for the round one knockout, which is cool. But then you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
how much I spend on this ticket?
It.
Yeah, but it's like to your point. When I go to like boxing or stuff now, I go for like the last three. Do you know what I mean? I don't, because I know you spent the money and I know there's loads of fights on, but at the same time, why do you want to be bored?
You're just going to be bored,
And you are, like, it is boring. Like, people are,
absolutely.
There's no one there. The crowd, even if you're, like, for example, I was at the Usyk Dubois one this year, right? It's at Wembley, packed out, blah, blah, blah. But if you're there 5 fights before it ain't packed out, it's quite bland. People are talking, no one's paying attention.
Vibe,
It's almost like, what am I here for?
Dead,
I might as well have waited a couple of fights and stuff like that. But sumo,
if you go to the sumo arena, even at the Royal Albert Hall that was obviously just done recently, it was electric. You walk in there, everyone sits down, and then there's a little commentator who talks about, the sport, talks about the rules, and then talks about, welcome, then brings out all the fighters. They do a big, like, ring show, basically. Then they all go back to their sort of east and west sides, go to the sides, and then just one by one, they start coming out, bang, fight, done, next, bang, fight, done, next, bang, fight, and there's that rolls.
It should be, really.
Oh, it's great.
Because, like, it is exciting, isn't it?
Just
and,
go.
like, even though you said you're there for an hour and a half, it's enough, isn't it?
Oh, it's
You're
perfect.
away. See you later.
You watch it for an hour and a half, 2 hours max maybe, and it is just constant damage.
Constant action, yeah.
There might be like, at Royal Albert Hall, they had like a little, what's it called, a break. They had a halfway break. So when half the fight was done, they were like, cool, we can take a little intermission. So a little intermission, 20
Very
minutes.
civilised,
yeah,
isn't it?
intermission, 20 minutes, go get some pints, go get some food, come back, see you in 20.
Yeah.
Back in, bang, straight on it again.
Like
it's perfect. Like,
Albert Hall's a good venue too.
It's beautiful.
Like, I've been
venue
there
to
for
have it.
boxing, Cirque du Soleil, all that business.
It's a great venue, yeah. And then even in Japan when they have like all these lovely ones as well, made for the sumo, obviously, they're just great. Like it's just really, really a big spectacle.
Well, the reason I say like for them different examples I gave with Cirque du Soleil and boxing is like you're on it anyway, right? You're right there, and it's on it. So if you've got guys that are up to 200 kilos by the sound of it, running into each other. Mate, up close, you feel that, yeah?
It's unreal.
Yeah. I bet we got to go to the next one, man.
Mate,
tell me when it's next over. I'm over there.
Next one's gonna be in Paris.
Okay, well that's not
talking like
that's
like
a bit of a
here.
further trip. Mate. Let's settle down.
If you're talking like near us, the next one's in Paris.
Yeah. Well, I mean, near is relative.
Yeah. I mean, it's an hour and a half for us, isn't it?
Well, yes, close to Doncaster.
Yeah,
I'll say
close
that.
to the Donny,
I'll say that. But like we've like go back a step to this the start of people going into these stables. How does one get into these stables, and what age do they enter that stuff?
Ages vary. So I think the kind of cut off genuinely is like 24 is like the latest you can kind of go into it.
Youngest, Jesus
No,
Christ,
it's the latest you can go into it. Usually they start around 15. Yeah, 15 years old, 14 years old.
Right.
You'll probably get scouted, or if you perform really well at like high school or college or something like that, like because obviously they're like same like clubs. They have sumo clubs. If you perform really, really well, you might get scouted. You might get asked to come join the stable. Or you might want to go through a different route where you end up doing sort of almost like sumo tryouts, I suppose. Like you go to these open competitions, you go to all this lot, and you kind of work your way up that way.
Right.
Show you how good you are, and then again you kind of get picked to come do it.
Right.
But for like a foreigner, for example, it's very, very hard because basically every stable in Japan is more or less only allowed one foreigner per year.
Really? Okay.
So your chances are already like absolutely shot because now you're not just competing against everyone. You're competing against everyone around the world apart from Japan for one spot per stable.
And is that when you say go to the stable, is that someone like yourself who goes there and trains, or is that someone who like moves in and takes the like
Move in.
move in?
Yeah, stables. Yeah, you move in. Yeah, you're done.
Right.
Yeah, that's your life now.
There's no drop-ins. There's no like you turn up to a jiu-jitsu
Oh, you
club.
can turn up,
can?
but it's not like the same thing. You
Right.
have to like email them and be like, "Is it
Right.
okay if I come to just watch?"
Oh,
Yeah,
Right.
And then there might be the chance where they say, "Would you like to give it a go?" And then they have like a little bit of fun with you.
oh, okay.
But
cool.
you wouldn't be like
You
training.
can't just turn up like pay your £15 drop-in fee,
not,
limber up,
not at a stable,
get on the
not at a
mat.
stable. No chance, no chance. It's a big, like, it's a very much, you know, ceremonial. It's very much like
Right.
that sort of thing where you have to, you know, it's legit where it's like you have to be a lot of respect for it. You have to like email in advance or message someone, have a connection somewhere, and be like, "Can I come watch? Can I come do this?"
Do you have to give you
Great.
stats as well? Like I'm 6'2".
No. Like, because honestly, like, say for example, if I went to like a professional stable, there's more or less no point in me training with them because they'd all batter me.
Really?
You know, when the level's so much higher.
Right.
It's one of those things. It's like if you put like generally like a non-league football player into Man City's training group.
We won't say Man City. We'll say Chelsea.
Sorry,
We'll
Chelsea,
carry on.
whatever you want.
We'll
Yeah.
say Chelsea.
Anyone you want, basically. You know, high level
Yeah,
team.
no, I get you.
They're not going to even be able to lace someone's boots there.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like they're not.
Right.
So it's the same thing that. So you might go there. If I went to like a high level stable, like a professional stable, I went in there, got to have a little look around, got to watch a training session. I'd be like, that's amazing. Then if they said like, would you like to have some bouts? I'd say, oh, absolutely, for sure. But I'd also know that like I know that they would be taking it easy on me.
Right.
Because that's just, if they went full throttle, I probably wouldn't last too long.
Right. Okay.
And it's sometimes good for that reason because you're like, wow, that's insane. But like at the same time though, if you want to actually like train or like, you know, get better, you need to kind of differentiate where you train and like your levels.
Right,
You want to train above like what you're doing obviously, so you get better, but you don't want to train like a million levels above.
Yeah,
to
like you
get
said,
better.
non-league footballer going straight to Man City.
Yeah,
anyway.
not
It's
gonna
gonna-
work,
Yeah,
not gonna
right, right. You're not, but you're just not getting anything from it.
You
because
won't.
the
You
gap's
won't.
too big.
You'll be like, how do I even do that?
Yeah, you
And,
need to go up like League Two.
Yeah,
and
just
chill.
go one by one.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
right.
kind of the idea you do it at, which
Right.
is quite nice. So
And what does sumo training session look like? So like
Yeah.
5-6 hours is obviously a long time.
a
I'm
long
assuming
time,
they're
yeah.
doing more than just sparring. Are they lifting? Are they
There's a lot of
whatever?
sparring.
There is. There is a lot of sparring. Yeah, there is.
Well, one part of the timing is obviously that they do it in order of ranking as well.
Okay.
So not everyone's training at the exact same time when it
Right.
comes to intensified training. So if you imagine it, this is kind of the basics of how it goes. So they start with like Shiko, which is these raised foot stomps you might have seen. So basically, well, it's kind of like a exercise slash also part of their warm up. They will get down a deep squat and then basically alternate onto taking the weight bearing leg, resting all the weight on one leg and then lifting their other leg up in the air, controlling it and then bringing it back down, back into a squat position and holding that, and then alternating legs basically. They'll do that about 300 reps.
Oh wow!
Bang, just do them like straight away.
Is that right?
So
Yeah.
300 reps, just bang like one.
How many can you do?
Oh, I mean, you can do as many as you want to do.
Oh,
Doesn't
right.
mean they'll look good though.
Yeah.
I mean, so like they do that like obviously 150 on each leg, you know, and just go for it. Some might do more. It's
Right.
like insane. Then after that, they'll do their suriashi,
Okay.
which is this foot sliding motion. So you might have seen again, but in sumo you don't like take steps. Ideally, like you kind of meant to slide around.
Okay.
You meant to like keep your basically your body and connect to the earth is the idea of it, because then you're
So you're not on one leg, I'm assuming.
yeah,
Right.
so it's also like because you're more balanced then as well, and all this lot, so it becomes better. So they do this foot sliding thing across the ring, and they just start at a normal pace, and then they just get faster and faster until they're just building up to a really good like working pace of it. And this is all held in like a squat position, so it's like low squat, tight here, and you just like slide to the edge, and then bang. They do that again, as many repetitions as they kind of want, and go from there. Then they'll go into sparring traditionally, where they'll go like levels of like level first, level two, and you'll just start sparring. So just go bang, collision, bang, 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 spar, and then say if there's any like coaching tips, the stable master will just be watching you, and he'll just say like, come over here. It's like you should have done this instead of this, and then they go back and then just keep on fighting. One other good thing about it is, say if like especially for like basically every wrestler, when the person wins, traditionally they just stay in. So in their training groups, so say if you're like sparring, say if you win the round, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know how I don't know how it would translate as well, but say if
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
just
like a King of the
sparring-
Hill drill you're doing
exactly,
jiu-jitsu,
yeah. But that's every day.
Right.
So every day you do King of the Hill. Every day your winner stays on basically in the ring, and so when you win, the other wrestlers will kind of come to you and say like, pick me as your next opponent. So they ask you to pick, and then the guy will be like, you or you, doesn't matter. You're fighting anyway, and then that just keeps rotating.
and that'll keep rotating. Then you go to the next level, keep rotating, and basically in the background, while people aren't fighting, whether they're higher level or just taking a break, they'll be doing a certain few movements. So some of them will have like these little like dumbbells, and they'll be doing maybe like some shoulder raises, some overhead press ups. Some will be on this like tepo pole, which is this big wooden pole where you do the sapari like hitting,
Okay.
and they'll just be doing that while they're waiting for their turn. And so it's just all these like in the background.
Very old school.
Yeah.
They're not going to a gym and doing like a four-way split and all that kind
So
of
it's
business.
quite funny. So some stables recently have started taking a modern approach to training, which I think is amazing because obviously it's really old sport.
Yeah.
And I think training in a modern way, especially when you look at say like recovery or something like that, it can really benefit you because there's so much more to do now than just the traditional stuff. And there's one bay, I forget the name of it actually, but it's a really, really good example because this guy has spent like thousands basically, and he's also like changed the way they train. So now instead of doing one massive session once a day, he now does a 2-session split a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. So more similar to what an athlete like of our like the Western sort of style would do. Like you'd have maybe like sparring in the morning and you do like weight and strength conditioning in the evening. Same thing, or vice versa. They do that instead now. So one morning session will be like agility drills and like movement, and then the next training session would be like more like sparring and like maybe just tachi training. So he's like limited it to like very much core elements of a fight, and then but still incorporating like the shiko and the suriyashi, like the traditional movements. But as well as that, he's got an upstairs gym in this stable, which is like state of the art. He's got a cryotherapy room, like state of the art, like made, like ready for all his athletes to go in and just oxygen chamber the hell out. Whoa. It's fantastic. And so he's a heavy believer in that, like this modern approach to training, which I think is great because it is a very different approach, but hopefully it comes out really well.
Right.
So I think holding traditional ones are really good as well though, because they are proven to work so well, and been doing it for so long. Yeah. But I think taking elements, especially of like modernized training, is also great because you can improve upon what's already clearly a working system.
But that's the way to do it, I think.
100%.
Elements, because some people go the other way, don't they? And it's like no new age stuff. We start doing strength conditioning, and their performance doesn't improve.
Yeah.
If anything, it goes backwards because they've missed out on like. You said the movement with the leg. What was that called? Shiko. So I'll pick up the names, guys. Don't worry. But like doing that is obviously a part of the sport, right? So some guys would come in and take that and go, no, we just squat and whatever. Like that would be a mistake to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I would honestly just say do both. Like you should do that and do like weighted squats because at the end of the day, especially for a guy, I mean, if you're 140 kilo body weight, that is a heavy amount of work to be doing for your body weight. Like doing that and body weight squats is a lot, but to gain like more muscle mass and get stronger, you actually need to be lifting weights because you're already so big.
Right.
So like your body weight is good, like obviously for like endurance wise, but like to actually like make yourself stronger, I would obviously say that doing the weights are really beneficial. Yep. And then the last thing they do, so just after sparring, the last thing they do is a thing called butsukari, which is this pushing drill against another person. So same motion of the suriyashi, only you're hitting someone and driving them all the way to the edge of the ring.
I've seen that. I've seen this one,
They do that till failure to finish off the session. So you'll just then hit someone over and over again till you can't basically move them anymore. Okay. So your legs just give up.
So this could take a while.
Oh, yeah.
This could take a while.
Well, it could take a while. It could take like 2 seconds.
It could be, I can't move the first time.
Depends how tired you are. But they really push you though. Like they really push you to the limits. And it's great to see because it's exactly how, I really enjoy it because it's exactly how I train probably. It's I like pushing to the limit. So it's good to have like a solid session like that. And yeah, so butsukari is the last thing to do, and then they just do that in order as well. So it's quite an interesting one.
Wow. So like we've obviously in England, we don't have a deep history in sumo wrestling now. Like what's your goals going forward, and where do you want to take this?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I'd love to take it as far as it can go. For me personally, I really want to kind of push my sumo further on. For me anyway, like when I originally started, it was very much loose when it comes to the training aspect. I was obviously only training like once every month or two in Doncaster, which isn't really a level where you could say compete with guys who are training 6 days a week or 5 days a week. Even on a European circuit, these guys are really good level athletes who train in other sports as well as sumo, but obviously sumo now they're training like 3-4 times a week, for example. That will eventually obviously beat the guy who's training once a month.
Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
So that like starting from there and like getting to a good level was amazing. And then I had an injury like kind of a year or two ago now that I'm fully recovered from at the moment, which is great. So I'm really happy about that. And now I can kind of look at myself and get straight back into, officially kind of try and get up as much as I can when it comes to taking the sport seriously. So as a short-term goal, I would 100% say that I really want to start looking at sort of podiuming at these higher level events, sort of like the European Championships, for example. Which is a really big event in general for us. Like, it's very high level athletes. Podium there can be almost the same as like podium at the World Championships. But I would obviously be aiming for both of those would be great. Just even getting on a podium, that's would be sick.
And how are you received in Japan, like as a foreigner?
Oh, they love us.
Oh, they do? Oh, they're not like, this is our sport, stay away. There's none of that going on.
They love it.
Oh, really?
The only thing that's like, this is more of a long-term goal, of course, but I think recently we've been speaking a lot when it comes to sumo and the Olympics, because like, it's a sport that isn't in the Olympics, but like, if fishing's in the Olympics, we can be in the Olympics.
Fishing shouldn't be in the Olympics.
Exactly, but that's what I mean, right? So we can be in the Olympics. So it's one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, okay, this is sick. So most recently we were in Thailand for the World Championships in September.
I was going to ask you about
it. It was sick. Obviously, it was amazing. We had our record amount of British athletes going to World Championships.
And sorry, just to cut you off there, like when you go, what weight are you? Do you have to make weight for your division? Or
Yeah, I make weight for my division.
Which is what?
115.
And you walk around it or train at what sort of weight?
At the moment, I'm actually heavier than that, but I probably walk around like 115.
Oh right, so it's not a big deal. You're not.
But at the moment, I'm around like 118.
Yeah, so it's no big deal. You can get.
No, it's for me. Oh, so
seasonal. Right.
Yeah.
And what's the upper limit? Is it over that?
Over that,
and that's it.
Yeah.
You can be as big as you want.
Yeah.
And is that in your future? Do you look at it and go,
no,
never?
I mean, like, I would have to be.
Because you're only 22, right?
Bigger. Yeah. It's just that, like, it's that idea of like, do you really want to be that big? Because there's no
it's
like,
not healthy, is it?
But there's no like little big guy really. Like, you can't be like 120.
Right.
Because realistically, you're going to limit yourself. Because even if your like technique is up through the roof, eventually you'll get hit by a 200-kilo guy who will just beat you because he's bigger than you.
Right.
Which is a shame. But obviously, there's lots of examples where the smaller guy will win in that situation. Right. But on average,
oh boy, the Dutch Czech,
whatever
he
best
was,
guy ever,
98
right?
kilos.
Amazing. But like, the only reason he'd probably lose is because of his size.
Yeah, well, because the reason I ask as well, and sumo's a bit different because of the running start and whatever. But like in combat sports, I'm a big believer. I've said this on here before. At a certain point, you're big enough. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
A man who's, let's say, athletic, strong, does all the right things, who weighs 105 kilos. At a certain point, to me, you're big enough. Maybe a little bit bigger than that, but like, you get where I'm coming from.
Solid,
right? Over that, like, you can put weight on for the sake of it. Now, you do get people like Teddy Riner, who is naturally in proportion and 6'8" and athletic. But there's not that many of them, is what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean? Like Usyk in boxing is a good example.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, like, he's not the biggest boxer, but yet he holds his weight so well and he fucking uses it well. So it's one of those things. Like, realistically, I don't think I would probably get bigger than 130 if I tried. Right. Because I think I'd lose too much if I was.
And what would you say, you're 6'2"?
6'2", yeah. So I can hold the weight for sure. That's not. I think I could definitely do it. But I also would want to gain the weight properly.
You've also got to make it optimal for you too, right? Like some people, like David Hay spoke about this in boxing. Like when he went above, I don't know what it was, but let's say 100 kilos. When he was above that, it wasn't a benefit anymore. No. He punched hard enough, he was fast enough below that, on and on. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, I'm a believer in that, you know?
No, bang on. Because I think I'm the same. I don't get me wrong, I take on bigger guys. Yeah. Like when I train in like, so I only compete at 115, just 115. At the higher level competitions because they're obviously higher level. Right. But when it comes to sort of stuff, say like, so coming up in January 31st, late January, is the British and Isles Sumo Championships held in Belfast, which we love to see. And yeah, so we're going over there, which would be great because my goal there obviously is to take gold, and to kind of regain my British Championship title, my British champ title again. And hold it true really, but I compete there at 115, which is the weight that I like want to get gold at, and hopefully.
What's the next one down from 115? 100, so that's a fair drop.
Yeah.
And also going down is not always the answer either because they're faster. Right?
I would never go down.
Right.
I used to compete 100.
Yeah.
When I was.
But what
younger.
I'm saying is, when you go down, like we've seen that a million times in combat sports too. People drop a division, it goes all wrong for them.
Yeah, because they're just different animals. Like the guys at 100 are like, they're like. Probably around 6 foot, but they're just like toned, like muscular.
A man who's 6 foot tall, weighs 100 kilos, athletic, and got no fat on him. This is a big man.
They're big. You know what I mean? Like, they're not small guys. No. Especially when you go to like the European Championships. These guys from like Bulgaria, Azerbaijans.
I've wrestled.
the
I've done wrestling
Georgians,
training in
they
Bulgaria.
are units.
Right, I've been wrestling training in Bulgaria.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's very serious over there.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no messing about. There's
No.
no like I train 3 days a week. there's none of that. There's like I remember like you ask people out there like you wrestle, they look at you like you're stupid. Like,
Yeah, of course.
Well, what else would I do?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It was like one of them vibes. So yeah, especially like you said, we're going back to the example of training once a month. It's like you got no chance, have you? If you're
No,
only training
yeah,
once a
it's
month?
true. I mean, so even talking about the training once a month, like that's one of the reasons why I sort of started and ended up starting my own club in London as well, because I just wanted to train more and obviously grow the sport and do as much as I can, which is great. And that was about like 2 years ago now, so it's been like really good to see.
Nice.
And just being able to train more in general. You know, I love seeing the sport grow because not only is it beneficial for the sport, it's also beneficial for me because then I can go train at more places.
Cool.
I can go,
Well, I'll tell you
great.
with sumo too. Sumo's one of them things that no one's really in the UK would be like what they'd call a fan of it, but everyone's familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I think if it was on, everyone would watch it because
Yeah,
it's
for
fun,
sure.
right? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
like, I think there's definitely a place for people to
Oh,
go. Let's watch
absolutely.
sumo. Let's
Yeah,
like
I mean-
let's go to Royal Albert or watch
Yeah,
sumo.
yeah, completely. I mean, people love the Royal Albert. I think it give the sport a big boom, especially in Europe standpoint. And we had, like, obviously, I know a lot of sumo fans in general, but obviously they've been sumo fans. They're
Right.
like, they love sumo. But then I've found some people recently, and they're like, oh yeah, like I watched Royal Albert Hall. I've been hooked ever since. I'm like, that's so nice. It's just good to see, you know.
Yeah.
Just any sort of growth from the sport in that aspect. It's just lovely. But and then that's. When I was doing those sort of once a month training, my first competition ever when I was like 18 was at the European Championships. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. What
like,
was you think? Was you there
threw me
like,
at the deep
what am
end.
I doing here?
So,
That was it, one of them.
I rock up in Poland for the European Championships first, and also my first ever competition. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Was people when you telling people like this, were they like, what do you mean you going to
Mate,
Poland to sumo wrestle?
I didn't even have my own belt. I didn't have my own mawashi because
Okay.
I was so fresh, like, in
Right.
a sense. But I was also like good enough. They were like, well, we can send you. I was like, all right, fine.
All right.
But at that time, I was competing at 100 kilos, so I was a
Okay.
lot lighter. And yeah, did that, and it was quite funny. But like, and one of my head coach and found basically the British sumo president at the moment, Scott. He always sings the praises. He's a really passionate Scottish man, and he's always like, you went to the European Championships at 18, first competition, and you almost got fucking bronze. I was like, you are insane. It was like, I had like a playoff for like fourth that would have got, if I won the bout, I would have gone up to the third position pole to try and battle for it,
Ooh.
which was really great. And then I ended up losing, obviously, to the gold medalist, obviously. And it was this absolute unit Bulgarian guy who was
Right.
like in his 30s versus this 18-year-old.
And he's probably wrestled his whole
Oh,
life.
his whole
right?
life,
His
like,
whole
since
life's
he was
wrestled.
6,
He's
like-
just got a different attire now.
Yeah, yeah,
What do I do?
exactly.
Yeah, show me the ring.
Yeah, and so it's quite, it's one of those ones where I mean, I love the idea that I was like, oh, cool, I'll take fourth, whatever it was, mate, it doesn't even matter. But it was like fun for a first competition. And then after that, I ended up going to like a low competition over in Switzerland. It was the Swiss Sumo Open. I got I think I got a joint silver, which I again was like sick, amazing, like it was really nice. And then kind of just went from there. Started like doing more and more. Went to another European Championships, didn't medal, but like obviously just the experience itself was great. We came fourth in the team event, which again was really good. Like just more about growth for the sport. And then just doing more and more really. British Championships, Scottish Open, won gold at both of those. It's just really nice to see. And then like even as like it's starting semi-fresh into a sport, you can kind of excel and grow is really
Right,
nice to see.
course, yeah.
It's really good and it gives you a lot of like backbone to like do it, which is great. And so kind of driving me in towards that more and more is like where I am now, where it's like getting new sponsors, for example, because obviously sumo is completely unfunded by like anything, like most sports are. It's all self-funded. And so now I've got this amazing sponsor, shout out Rep Primo, which have luckily given me a massive standpoint now to basically commit fully almost to just sumo and like training and trying to get to that top level as well, which is sick.
Wow, because I tell you what I was thinking of while I was smiling while you were saying that. It was like I just got the image of your pals when you're 18. Go, what are you doing on the weekend, Sonny? And you go, oh, I'm going to Switzerland.
Yeah,
do
I've got a
sumo
wrestler in
wrestling.
Switzerland.
And when people go like, oh yeah, of course you are. You're going to
No, it's
Switzerland.
true though. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, this year I've got so many like trips coming up because of sumo for sure.
Have you? That's cool, man.
Yeah, I mean the calendar's quite like. If I was doing like a very much basic calendar, it would be Belfast for the British Championships, English Nationals in March, and then I'd have the Worlds in June. And then, the European Championships in June, and then I'd have the Worlds in like October.
Wow.
If I was doing a very limited one, but I'm now doing like the thing in British and Isles Championships in January. We've got the March Nationals is the same. European Championships will be in June, but before that, I'm going to go to the European Cup in Oslo, Norway, before the European Championships. Then after that, I believe I'm going to try and go, because it's the last year I can enter a junior category. So I'm going to enter into the under 23s championships.
It's a strange category, that under 23, the grown men's category.
So they've got under 18s, under 19s, and they have under 21s and under 23s for like all the juniors.
But under 23 is a strange age, right? It's like
it
you're
is
a
an
grown man at
interesting
some
one.
point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think it is a strange one, but like, I mean, they just do it anyway.
Yeah, why not, right? Why not?
And then I've got that, then I'm doing that, then I'm going... Yeah, then I'll be going to... I think after that will just be the Worlds. I'll take a break and go to the Worlds after that.
That's cool, man.
But then I'm doing a big training camp in Japan in April and May this year, which will be sick.
And does that mean, would you go and stay and live at a stable, or how's that work?
So I'll be living in Tokyo for a month.
Right.
I won't be in a stable.
Right.
I'm training with Tokyo University Sumo Club.
Okay.
And then a couple other like amateur sumo wrestlers who have like just reached out kind of in between. And I've said, oh great, I'm going to come and do
you get some
training.
no-hopers in this game? You know, like that are just like fans of sumo that aren't like you, that are just like, they just turn up and go, hi, I'm here for sumo. And
Yeah,
they just
but
like get
but
ragdolled across
we
the
love
room.
them all though.
Oh, they do?
Oh
Yeah.
but we love them all.
Yeah.
Because even if you just want to give it a go because you just and your mate never come back,
Yeah.
for example, as long as you enjoyed it, you had a great session. You can tell people now that I tried sumo in London. It was so much fun, and that's what it is, really.
But
It's
that's how it
great.
grows,
Yeah,
to be
exactly
fair, because
that.
there's not going to be many people that you're going to run into like yourself who go, I want to compete, I'm going to the World Champ.
Yeah.
Like most people, if I go to you, do you want to go to the World Champions Sumo? You go, what are you talking about? Like, do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we've got some guys there. It's exactly how they started. They said, I just want to give it a go. I'm like, all right, great. And then now they've been doing it for like 2 years, and they are going to these big competitions and
cool, isn't it? I
Euros,
like that.
and it's really sick because it's
Yeah.
one of those sports that I honestly say I think it's one of the easiest sports to pick up because it isn't too hard to understand.
Right.
You know, push them out, don't
Yeah.
get pushed out.
Yeah.
Put them on the floor, don't get put on the floor.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
the
That's
basics
it.
of the rules, basically.
Very simple, yeah.
And obviously, like anything, simple to understand, obviously very, very hard to master. You know, because obviously, like any martial art, it takes years of understanding and getting the technique down, all this lot. So that's one part of it. But that's one part of it that we love. So it's
Right.
like, that's the idea of, there's always more to grow in the sport. I mean, even myself, I've only been doing it like 5 years. So like, I'm not like a veteran.
Right.
I'm just still almost starting out. I took about a year and a half, 2 years off as well because of my injury. I was just coaching.
What was the injury? Can you tell us what the injury was?
Yeah, 3 herniated discs.
Yeah, that's a fun time. 3, just for 3, was it? And how'd you get over that one?
Just fucking rehab.
Oh, really?
Well, it was just like, it happened. I didn't even know. It just happened. I was
In
like,
one go, was it like a bang?
Yeah, everything. I didn't.
Right.
But again, I honestly didn't know how.
Right.
I honestly thought it was like overwork.
Right.
And I said,
Back's just hurting a
I was
bit.
just like, oh, my back's hurting a lot. And then I started getting like the sciatic pain down the side because it's it's on a nerve.
Right.
That's the annoying bit about the herniated disc. It hurts your leg more than your actual back. So I was like, my nerves. I was like, what the hell? My dad thought I had sciatica, and I was like, no way.
Bit young for that.
That's why I thought, no way. Am I like? And at this time I was like 21.
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
why am I 21 and I've got sciatica? You having a fucking laugh? And it got to the point at one point where I couldn't even like bring my leg up to there.
Oh, right,
On my
okay.
left side, it
'Cause
was
it's
like
pinching,
so
it's getting- right.
painful. And that's when I was like, oh, I've got to get an MRI. I've got to. And this was like a couple months after. Injury happened in like December, and then I got the MRI in like February, and then I got the results back in March. And I went, and they said, oh yeah, so you've got 3 herniated discs. And I said, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Whoa,
and
whoa.
they said like, what did you do? I said, I don't know. They were like, then the first thing they said was like, were you in like a car accident or like a skiing accident? I said, no. They said, what did you do? I said, I think it might have been like overwork. They were like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I was doing like some sumo training, but I wasn't doing anything like unnormal, like just normal sumo training. And then I said, oh, but then I did work in the evening, so maybe it was that. And they were like, nah. I was like,
it's not that.
well, I don't fucking know. You tell me.
I
Like,
tell you, it's funny when you're sitting there to the doctor going, I did sumo training. They're almost looking at you going, of course you
course
did.
it was
Yeah,
that.
of course you did. Oh, you do sumo, do you?
Yeah, that's what they always
Christ.
say, yeah.
But with like training now, you're obviously, I'm assuming you're doing more than once a month in Doncaster now.
oh yeah. No, way
What's
more
training
now.
look like now for you,
So
sumo-wise?
sumo-wise purely. So basically, I try and do I also use judo as training as
That's
well.
what I was going to ask you about other
So,
arts.
it's really important, I think, to get a good basis of all, obviously, martial arts when you're training anything like that.
Right,
so,
definitely.
sumo you can get a lot of benefit from for training. 2 top ones I'd say is like judo and like 3-star wrestling. Like freestyle wrestling's like super sick for
King
it.
of sports to me. When I found
Oh,
freestyle
mate.
wrestling, everything else changed for me.
It's crazy. So like that's one thing. Like, at the moment, it's hard because I think there's one really. My friend goes to one in like Hammersmith, which I think would be really good because it's just a nice one. And then there's another one literally on top of like Richmond Station.
Yeah,
but they
Elevate, friends.
Yeah,
of you.
Elevate's
Been up
good.
there for many podcasts.
But they
trained up
only
there.
do like once a week freestyle wrestling,
Right.
which is fine. But it's just like it's set, like that's it.
Yeah.
And then obviously then doing judo would be great. So the idea really would be like if I do 2 martial art days, where it'd be either judo or like freestyle wrestling a week, and then on top of that doing sort of sumo twice a week. To like cultivate the 4 sort of days of training and sparring and all that lot. Because I run my club on Sundays. So I run my club in London on Sundays where I do train, but obviously I'm also coaching. So it's kind of, I have to look at it 2 ways because I'm not just there for me. I am like helping other, people basically get better at sumo and training them. So I kind of do my own sort of mini training when I'm there. It will be, I join in with some of the drills and I do some other bits. But then when it comes to like the sparring, for example, first thing I'll do is like just stay in the middle and just say that I'm just going to keep going until like I just can't go any longer.
Right.
And then I'll be like, cool, now we can start. Like then everyone else can fight.
Yeah,
but at the beginning it's like all versus me.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk at the end because freestyle wrestling I can definitely help you with in terms of places.
It's so good, definitely. And then apart from that, they're like I'd say my solid like kind of wrestling days. If you want to call it like that, my wrestling days. And then I also help down in Southampton because we started a club there about 6 months ago over at Parity Martial Arts. And they're great. It's really, really doing well there. They do a Saturday morning session, and then now they've just started doing an evening session as well, like midweek, which is so good. And I try and go down there as much as I can as well, just because it's obviously just good fun, but also it's like a big growth for the sport as well. And then I also do try and go up north as much as I can as well. We've got a club in York University, which is like they're kind of like a social club, but it's great because they just do the training. We've just opened up another one now in like Derby, and then we've also got another one in like kind of Doncaster area opened up again, which is great because it kind of like took a break for a bit because there was just not enough action there, but it's great to see it back open again. So I try and make my way around the country training while also staying in London basically. So that's kind of like my idea for it. So then I can do my chunk here, do the 3 days, and then I can kind of rotate another day around somewhere else to train, which is really fun. So for just that, I say 4 days, and then I try and do in the gym like weight stuff because I basically weightlifting for me originally just started like the past year or 2 about just getting my back better.
Right.
So it was like nothing heavy. It was like super light, just doing all the movements me and my physio would talk about. So it was just doing those, and then only recently I've been like, okay, can I go heavy now and like train to actually like get bigger? And then my physio was like, yeah, all right. And I was like, okay, great. So now I'll just do that now.
And it's like competing at 115, if you've got an ideal body weight, would you like to say get to sort of 125, 130 and sort of cut?
You know what it exactly is. At the moment, it's a tricky time because I do have, obviously it's Christmas. And I've also got...
I'd heard the rumours.
I know, it's Christmas. So, I'm going to be eating a lot.
Yeah.
But also, I've got obviously the competition in January 31st. So it's quite hard. So I don't think I'm going to be able to peak for then. But I think I'll be able to peak for the Euros. And the plan for the Euros will be I will go down to like 110 and then I will build right back up to 120 to then cut. So I want to coast around 120 but like pretty built.
Right.
Like
strong 120.
very strong 120 is the idea.
Yeah.
And that will be after my training camp in Japan.
Right.
And then that will be where I'm getting bigger because I'm eating there.
Right.
So the idea is sort of probably stay the same weight I am now till the competition in January. I'll probably end up being about 120 anyway by the end of it, just because I'll just be eating and training. And then cut for then, and then I'll cut down after January by April time, end of March, cut down to like 110, 105 if I'm really, really cheeky. And then, but again, obviously like kind of building more of a good base of the body and structure, then go right back up to like 120, 125, like you said, and then compete at 115. That would be ideal. That'd be ideal, yeah.
No ambitions. I've tried to get you earlier. No ambitions of competing with the big boys. No.
Oh, the British Isles will be an open weight.
Oh, you will.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not going to be a lifetime just walking around. I'm going to be the guy.
I think it's unless like we used to have a guy come to London, the London club, who was the kind of the connection I have now with Tokyo University, and we were speaking. He was like, Sonny, you could probably go pro if you wanted to. I said, really? Like, I think you're bullshitting me, but what do you mean? And he's like, no, like if you just gained a lot more weight, you'd be great. I said, how much? He goes, like 30 kilos,
Oh
40
yeah,
kilos.
just 30, 40 kilos.
Yeah, and I was
no
like,
big deal.
what? He goes, it's okay. You're tall. You can take it. I said, yeah, but this is the thing, though. You guys, like, I don't want to gain 40 kilos.
I feel terrible, right? Man, trying to get out of bed in the morning.
Oh, I mean, like, I know guys who are obviously like fit in a sense and
Yeah.
140,
Right.
but they're also not like doing the sport like that
Right.
you're doing. Like bodybuilders, for example, they're not like functional.
No.
They just lift weights.
Yeah.
So they're big and they're strong, right? But they are not functional, be able to like move properly.
And they're only strong at what they do as well,
Exactly,
right?
yeah,
They're strong
yeah.
at sitting on a bench and pushing.
Yeah. So like,
linear.
you couldn't look like that and do sumo really because it doesn't work. You need to have some sort of like maneuverability to you. You have
Right.
to have a bit of fat on you, really.
Yeah. Oh,
that,
do ya?
that little
Yeah.
layer. Yeah. I mean, it's same thing. Like even going back to like rowing. So in rowing, a lot of the guys obviously super strong, slim, but you don't really see anyone like jacked. Like no one's got like raging six packs and like
They're not? Okay.
No, but they might have a six pack, but not like there's always you'll see a bit of a layer on them, you know, like
Really?
just a little safety layer. But it's because in rowing you need those like lipids, you need that fat to kind of that's your almost like your tank, your sprinting tank. That's what's going to get you right over the edge that last 500. Because it doesn't matter how fit you are, when your lactic acid builds up, you're going to be like in pain, and you build up that in like so quick in rowing. So to get you through that last 500 meter sprint to the finish, you just literally eat your fat. Just absolutely eat through your fat. So they almost need that teeny tiny bit of like almost puppy fat just to like get them through it. Like 100%.
All the fat people watching this are just
Yeah,
like,
like, yes!
But listen, mate, this has been
No,
brilliant.
absolute pleasure.
I really appreciate it.
No,
Hopefully
anytime.
we'll do this again at some point.
No,
I want to
it'd
get on
be
the mat
good
with you as well and experience
No,
it
it'd be
soon,
good.
man,
It'd be
because
good.
believe it or not, it's not, it's not flourishing around here.
Mate,
so
you'd
we'll
love
get
it.
We'll get it there. I definitely want to try it, mate. Before we finish, most important question of the day. I don't know how this is going to go because of the team you mentioned earlier. Which football team do you support?
Millwall.
I weren't expecting that.
know.
Millwall.
Yeah, man.
Oh, mate, I'll get you to explain off camera. Correct answer is Chelsea. My
Anytime,
man.
man.
Top, mate.
Cheers.
I always finish with a fist up like this, mate.
Go on,
Squeeze the neck. Boom!